Welcome viewers to Reach IV's webinar series. Reach IV is a boutique career guidance and education and study abroad advisory. And we do these webinar series to get more information to you with regards to different aspects that form applications and career processes. So let me quickly start the webinar. Today's webinar is about top tips to build a strong LinkedIn profile. And just quickly, I'm Suman. I'm Senior Counselor at Reach IV. And I have an education master's from Harvard University. And today we're going to be looking at something that's used very abundantly today for career purposes, to seek jobs, by companies to advertise jobs, and many other ways, which is LinkedIn. So let's quickly jump into our tips. The first thing that what I like to tell people is fill that tagline and summary. Now, the first thing a person sees when they come to your LinkedIn profile is that tagline. Now, the tagline is basically just a short, should be just a few words. And the trick here is you want to make yourself rememberable. Often you go to LinkedIn profiles and they've written something generic like data professional or marketing expert. You want to make the tagline in a way that a person is drawn to click on your name, or the reader is intrigued. And that is the primary purpose of the tagline. And the second thing a person looks at is the summary. Now, the summary is the little piece of information that a person sees before they start reading your profile. Now, that's basically the primary reason why the summary needs to be rememberable as well. However, it shouldn't be, say, for example, a chronological dump of everything that you've done, right? The summary needs to be something, it's almost like a sales pitch. It should be catered to who you are as a professional and what your goals are. Say, for example, you're a data science professional and you're working in analytics, and you are right now looking for a job where you want to manage a team that does data analytics. So your summary needs to highlight your previous experience as a data analyst and perhaps showcase the intention that you want to be in a leadership role. Similarly, for example, if you are a designer, a graphics designer, and right now you're looking for a work opportunity where you say, for example, focus on a particular, you want to focus on a particular software now. Say, for example, aerodynamic modeling. You want to create the summary in a way that showcases your design skills, but also talks about your experience before in engineering drawing or engineering design. Again, before moving on, the trick of the tagline and the summary is to make yourself rememberable. You can do that by showcasing an achievement, by showcasing some numbers, or even at the risk of even being a little funny. Second tip, put a relevant cover photo to visually attract the reader. Now, LinkedIn is designed to be read by human beings, and us humans naturally are visual creatures, and we tend to remember a person or get communicated better through visuals. And the fact of the matter is, a person's going to see your profile's cover page before they even read more about you. So you want to put something there that attracts the reader, definitely, but it is also professional. Let's take an example. If, for example, you manage a social, like an NGO, and you are currently looking to grow in the ranks, or kind of manage another larger NGO. So what you want to do is, in your cover photo, you want to capture the essence of the programs you run or the work you do, but you don't want to make it. You don't want to take a slice of a presentation, for example. You want to make it purely visual and attractive. So that could mean, taking the same nonprofit example, you could take a photo of, if for example you run a school, you could take a photo of a teacher meeting, or a student meeting, or an annual day festival, something that grabs the attention of the reader, but it's also professional. Let's take another example. If you are a coder, you're specialized in coding in a particular language, you could use a cover photo, almost probably a nerdy cover photo, where you're show where the entire, say for example, the entire photo is black with a few lines of code, or you could use maybe a conference photo that you attended that you really like. So just to summarize again, you want to use a cover photo for sure, which has to be attractive but also professional, and it kind of should be summarizing your work as an individual. Tip number 3, use accurate dates everywhere. Now, LinkedIn, being a software on the web, it's designed to capture information capture knowledge from the information you give it. So the dates you put in the education or work experience sections, LinkedIn uses that to match you with, say, other classmates or other people that worked in the organization. And that's how you get suggestions of people, the suggestions that you might know a person on LinkedIn. So it's super important that you use accurate dates so that the LinkedIn algorithms are able to do their job properly. Next, in work experience, be as specific as you can. Like resume, the LinkedIn profile is not a job description. By that, what I mean is, yes, you are supposed to, yes, it's supposed to bring out your responsibilities and what your role was, but it's supposed to do that by medium of outcomes, examples, and accomplishments. For example, in place of writing, I led a large team, or my role was to lead a large team, the same message can be conveyed by led a team of 12 junior engineers to create a solution to the frequent crashing of the new iOS software, just for an example. Or if your role was to say manage 3 softwares or service 3 softwares for an investment bank, you could you could say the same thing by virtue of what change that you do in the service of these softwares, or what was your accomplishment. For example, if you didn't let any incident occur in the software, of any incident of failure for, like, say, in 10 months, you need to talk about your role through that lens. Again, going back to the first point, the rationale of this is the same. When a recruiter is looking at different profiles, or even universities looking at different LinkedIn profiles, they find very similar roles. For example, leading teams, designing stuff, managing organizations, and it's very easy to forget. However, when you put some accomplishments, where you put some numbers, or you make it attractive for the reader, they will probably remember you better. And that's the key of a LinkedIn profile. Yeah? So again, coming back, you want to talk about your accomplishments, your quantified outcomes, and not write purely roles and responsibilities. Basically, don't like the job description. Showcase your role through different accomplishments and projects that you undertook, and make sure you quantify whenever you can. Next tip, number 5: put in dynamic content, which means videos, presentations, media recognitions. And LinkedIn lets you do this in more than one section. By that I mean, say for example, when you've created, say the summary, or after that you're putting your work experience. LinkedIn lets you put digital content or dynamic content into the work experience section. Imagine how awesome it would be if, in place of just writing text about your achievements, you could put in a presentation, or you could put in an award citation, or you could put in a newspaper article that somebody wrote about your startup, or a presentation that you made. Obviously, this goes without saying, all the content you put in the work experience, if the content belongs to your organization, you must speak to somebody at the organization before putting it. And it obviously it's not very professional to put confidential files or even like organization branded materials. But you could still, if you worked on something and you've showcased it and you're at your workplace in a particular method, you could use that dynamic content on your work section as well. Along with this, I want to take this opportunity to also talk about status updates. Another great way to stay in the game of jobs, or even at the eyes of universities, is how active are you in your field of expertise? Are you reading up content of what you specialize in? Are you talking about it? Are you posting it? And the way people judge this is by looking at how frequently you update your LinkedIn. Anytime you come across a great article in your field, or a great research study in your field, or a YouTube video, let's say, keep a store of it, and then at equal intervals. So for example, once a week, post it on your LinkedIn. It doesn't just show that you are active in your field, but it also brings your name and profile up into people's home feeds, and that way you stay in people's radar. Again, so please put dynamic content or digital content like videos, presentations, media recognitions. And as the first point said, this will also make your profile more rememberable. Next, tip number 6. In education, add details. Again, going back to what we were talking work-ex, it's very easy for recruiters or admission committees to forget your LinkedIn profile. You want to add as many details as possible. For example, a Bachelor of Arts degree at X university is probably something everybody has done, and probably something that doesn't add too much value. However, if you were the captain of the football team, or you organized a festival, or you were the treasurer of a committee, these are the things that should go into your education section. And of course, your academic achievements. If you were awarded, say, the best student prize, or you ranked first in your class, or you received any kind of merit certificates, that should also go into your education. So yes, start with your degree name and year, but the more important point would be the details, the extracurricular activities, the merit awards, etc. Also, I'll take this section to talk about your GPAs, right? Because if you worked hard and you've achieved a good GPA, please show it off. Be careful. You might not want to put low GPAs in this section. If you have low GPAs, this is not to say that you don't have a chance in like getting an opportunity, but it's to say that just quantitatively, you will not be able to put the rationale behind that lack of that low GPA, whereas you will be able to talk about a low GPA in an essay or in an interview or in your cover letter. And please do also put in your test scores, so your GRE, GMAT, any international standardized test that you feel is going to add value to your application. I think we've already started receiving questions. Great. Next tip, I'll browse through. I'll go a little faster so we can get to your questions. Tip 7, make your profile context neutral. Now, that basically means free of jargons and region-specific terms. Yes, you maybe are looking for a job in your field or in your region, but the way LinkedIn works is anyone from anywhere in the world will be able to access your profile. Maybe they're looking for a diverse workforce, or maybe they're looking for people to switch from a different field. What the last thing you want to do is use units of measurements or context-specific terms that people will not understand. A simple example that we see a lot is fest. A fest means festival in a lot of Indian colleges, but it might not mean the same thing in a university or a company abroad. So it's just simple things like that. So again, make your profile context neutral. A person, no matter from where they are, when they're reading your profile, should be able to understand what it means. Tip number 8, ask for recommendations and endorsements. Now, you have worked, maybe you've worked with multiple companies, maybe you've worked in many groups. Please take the time out to ask for recommendations and endorsements and follow up with them till they have sent it to you. The simple reason for this is human trust factor. If an organization is on your profile and they read another person vouch for you in a qualitative way, the chances of them trusting you is higher. And it's just using that simple human trust factor. So please work on getting recommendations and endorsements from your colleagues, from your managers and group mates. Tip number 9, use projects section as a portfolio. What that simply means is try to identify some great projects you worked on during your work, during your education, and gather them and put them into your project section in a form of a nice digital content or a write-up, because your projects basically works as your portfolio that somebody can browse through and see how you worked on some of the things you have in the past. Excuse me. Tip number 10, add certifications as they show credibility. Now, the caveat on this is please only put certifications from reputed organizations or institutes. And the reason for this is the same reason for resume. You want to limit the number of words and text you're putting on your profile, and you want to be selective about how much value the experience or certificate is adding to your profile. So make sure you add certifications on your profile only if you've acquired them from reputed organizations or institutes. So that's it. Those are our 10 tips. I'm going to quickly go backwards and summarize it. And sorry, I'm going to quickly go backwards and then we're going to take questions. Add certifications as they show credibility. Tip 9, use project section as a portfolio. Tip number 8, ask for recommendations and endorsement. Tip number 7, make your profile context neutral. Tip number 6, in education, add details. 5, put in dynamic content. 4, in work, be as specific as you can. 3, use accurate dates everywhere. 2, put a relevant cover photo to visually attract the reader. And fill that tagline and summary. We're going to quickly go to the questions. So we have Three questions. Okay. So let's start with the first question. How long should a description under each job title be? Should I add accomplishments and responsibilities under each job title? So, okay, we're going to break it down. How long should a description under each job title be? Now, the answer to this question depends on what you want to showcase. So, for example, if you have many job experiences, say you've had 5 different jobs, and the person will need to scroll through these descriptions. You want to keep it medium size. You don't want to make it too lengthy, because you want the person to move on to your next work experience as well. Along with that, I highly recommend making these descriptions bullet points and not pure descriptions, because that again lets the reader read better. So the reverse of the example I told you, if you've just had 1 or 2 job experiences, you can make the descriptions a little longer. Again, make the number of bullets more, but it depends on how many accomplishments or projects you can talk about, right? So if you've done 3 major projects in 2 years versus another job in which you've done 1 major project in 5 years, you can break down that 1 major project into chunks and talk about it in a little more detail. And then if you've done 3 major projects in 2 years, you can pick 2 of them and then talk a little more, versus, or you can take 3 of those projects and break it down. There is no fixed answer of how long the description should be, but as I was explaining the criterias, that's probably the way you should define. And should you add accomplishments and responsibilities under each job title? Accomplishments, definitely. Responsibilities, not exactly. So if you watch the webinar, you will learn that you can showcase your responsibilities through your accomplishments and outcomes. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to just write you don't want to just write a job description style responsibilities. You want to hide them inside an accomplishment or an outcome. Is it advisable to add high school in education? Mostly yes, and a little bit no. So for example, if you have had quite a lot of experience and you've already finished your bachelor's and, say, for example, a postgraduate degree, and a person has reading your profile will receive enough information to be able to trust you, to be able to trust your skills and be able to give you a job, then not. However, if you right now are an undergrad and you haven't had any work experience, then I would add high school experience, because you'll be able to showcase leadership experiences like being captain of school. You'll be able to showcase maybe very high scores. You might not want to add high school in education if it doesn't add too much value. Like if you didn't receive super high scores, or it was from an institute that you don't want to show off, then maybe it's okay to not add it. But if you, as I was saying before, depending on at what stage in your career and life you are, you can choose to add it or not add it. Question number 3. I have worked in various vehicle development projects at Mahindra. Is it advisable to add photos of those launched vehicles? The first thing you need to consider for this is what's your contract with Mahindra, right? Are you allowed to talk about, and how much detail you're allowed to talk about what you did? So that's the first question you want to answer. After that, I wouldn't just, even if they say yes, please go ahead, you can put anything you want, I wouldn't put the pictures of launched vehicles. I would put something that showcases the development aspects of it. For example, what did you do? Is there a presentation, or is there, say, if you worked on design on those cars, can you showcase the design documents, or say a testimonial from like a dealer or a client? I would not put the photos of the vehicles, but I'll try to put something that shows what you did and the development aspect of the project. Um, let me check if there are any other questions. Mm, okay, I think we're good. So I hope you liked our webinar on LinkedIn and how to make your profile better. We do have a LinkedIn service where we assist you and support you in making a great LinkedIn profile. Please visit our website reachiv.com and you can contact us, and we'll definitely help you out. Thank you so much for attending a Reach IV webinar. Hope to see you next time.